Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back for another Low Vision Spotlight game video. This is an indie game on Steam called The Dope Game, and yes, it is exactly what you think it is. It is kind of a, I wouldn't say like a text, well, it mostly is text actually, but this is kind of a spin on many different games I've seen and even played in the past. I can't think of the names of all of them, but like I know there was an accessible version. I don't remember if it was on DOS or if I played it later on some. It wasn't iOS because Apple probably wouldn't let that in its store due to the subject matter. But I know I've played some accessible game. I want to say it was called MULE. Hell, it might have even been on Windows Mobile for all I remember. But yeah, there's been a lot of these different types of games. So it's kind of like, the G-rated version of like Lemonade Stand. You buy low, sell high, that kind of a thing. You interact with different other dealers and characters and all that kind of a stuff. Before I go any further, just a quick shout out, quick thank you to Max Angor for sending me the code for this game, a review code for this game. He had been talking to the developers and they were open to feedback and accessibility ideas. And so, yeah, he offered me a review code. And yeah, we're taking a look at it now. I've put in a couple minutes of the game just to kind of get a rough feel of what it is. And yeah, I've tried a couple different things and have a few thoughts, both as a low vision player and to make this game blind accessible. I am legally blind. If the developer's watching this, I am legally blind. I do have some usable vision, so I can use magnification, but especially text-heavy games like this, I would really prefer to use text-to-speech or a screen reader. So getting that out of the way right up front, I know a couple of other games have done this in the past. Skullgirls, which is a fighting game, the PC version, several years ago when they first started experimenting with accessibility, they had a feature where it would just basically output all of the text as things change. So as you were going through a menu or if you had a character dialogue, as that text would appear or change, that would be sent out to the clipboard. And screen readers, there's a free one called NVDA. There's another free one built into Windows called Narrator. Not quite as complex, but NVDA is a really good one because it's free and it's pretty powerful. And then there's a paid one called JAWS for Windows. But basically, NVDA has an add-on or a little feature where it'll intercept, if I turn it on, it'll intercept anything coming from the clipboard. So if a game or an application spits something out to the clipboard, it will read that. And one of the most recent games that I can think of that I covered on the channel pretty recently, it was called Luck Be a Landlord. That was another indie game. It was kind of like this kind of neat, it was like a slot machine but more type of thing. And it had this whole rent/landlord theme to it, hence the title. But that also supported this clipboard output to the clipboard thing, and if I had the screen reader on, boom, it would work. So whether screen reader support was being able to be added manually or natively, or if we can kind of hack through it using the clipboard, I don't know if either one of those is possible or how complicated that would be. But that would be the number one thing that I would love to see even as a low vision player. The other thing that, especially if you're wanting to make it accessible to blind players, totally blind players, if you have no vision, you are unable to use the mouse. And so some sort of keyboard or controller navigation would be necessary. So not just like many games have like a little floating mouse cursor or just a floating cursor of some kind. Spatially, again, if you can't see the screen, you don't know spatially where to move your cursor. So the interface or the UI would need to be basically made to like a snap, what they call like snap movement. If I hit up or down, left or right with the D-pad or analog stick, it would just jump up, down, left or right sequentially through any UI that's on the screen. So I'm using the controller and I don't think it's doing anything. I have an Xbox Elite controller too, but as far as I can at least see, it does not seem to be doing anything. So I think this is a mouse-only game. I mean, as far as mobility accessibility goes, it's very accessible because it seems like everything can be done just with a click of a mouse. So one button input, golden. So for mobility, it's great. For low vision, there's kind of a catch that I've seen with several games lately. It does work with Windows Magnifier. Windows does have a magnifier feature built in, and if I hit Windows Plus, I can turn that on. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to zoom out a bit because that was ginormous. But you see, I can magnify the screen. However, I can only do this in windowed mode. If I go full screen, even if I had magnifier on in windowed mode and then I switched it to full screen, the game would just, it would just not really respond. And so I would have to Alt-Tab, kill magnifier, and then come back in. But I can use magnifier. That's why you see the taskbar up there. That's why the taskbar on the bottom. That's why you see the title bar up there. Because I'm running it in windowed mode, so I can in fact use magnifier. As far as the mouse cursor, I like that it's fairly big. It stands out really well against the light sky up here. But as you do get into darker areas here, it might be nice to have some sort of mouse color options. Either have like a invert option where the mouse actually changes color depending on like what it's over, or I would just say offer some alternative colors, a few light ones, a few dark ones, having maybe like a little outline or like a silhouette around the mouse. Like if I Alt-Tab out of here, even if I magnify here, you see how my mouse, it's a light color, but it's got that black outline around it. Little things like that can help make the cursor stand out. So not too bad a size, maybe a couple size options, bigger, a little bit bigger, and also some contrast. Because again, in the sky, it's great. Here it is a bit on the low contrast side. It kind of blends right in with the building here. So I'm going to go to options, and the reason you hear NVDA is because I was experimenting with whether NVDA would read anything in the game. And natively, it does not. I have been using it to read dialogue when characters talk. It really isn't super practical on the little tablet screen where I'm buying and selling things. And I'll demonstrate why that is. And this is why native screen reader support or text-to-speech or even outputting to the clipboard and having some sort of snap control for the keyboard and or game controller would be necessary for blind accessibility. Under options, we do have the usual sound volumes. You got your master, your music, your sound effects. You get a few different graphic options here. Again, I tried full screen and things kind of went a little wonky. So I left it on windowed so I can use magnifier if I need to. I like how big the text is in here, like especially the dark background, light text. I really like that. CRT filter, I left that off. I wouldn't really want that. Now I am a little bit confused here. It says accessibility. I'm like, ooh, what is that? And then it says manage. But when I click manage, as far as I know, it doesn't do anything. So I don't understand what this is or does, or is it in development, or yeah, I'm just a little bit confused. There's no there, at least what I can see, there doesn't seem to be any description of it. So cool that the game acknowledges accessibility, but I'm not exactly sure what this manage thing actually is or does. You got a couple language options, English and Russian. And then over on the right hand side, you got some. Oh, right. Okay, your holidays and your data stuff. And there are some hotkeys,
Start.
but they're not necessarily for the game. In the lower left there, you got some hotkeys. Those there are hotkeys for toggling like your sound or your music, a few other toggles, but nothing as far as like interacting with the game. My other minor suggestion that's kind of an annoyance that a lot of games will do, I can't just hit escape to back out. Like you physically have to click the back button. I'm so used to just being able to, like, I just want to hit escape to back out a level. That would be really nice. Let's go to play.
Start.
And so we're loading our little PDA here. And you do have a few different options. We can host or join a multiplayer game, or we can play single player, which is what we were going to do. And again, because of this mouse thing, one of the techniques I often do, if I can't find the mouse right away, I will move it to a corner of the screen so I know where to look from, and then I'll drag it in the middle and then figure out. So let's just go new game, and let's do, again, look at these buttons. The text is actually pretty clean. You know, the gray and the white text, it's really not bad. Yeah, the tutorial. I know some people get offended with the type of text here. You know, it's like, oh, don't belittle people for playing on lower difficulty modes. I get that, but this game is so tongue-in-cheek anyway that, like I said, it doesn't really matter. But I kind of get a kick out of the tutorials. Too dumb to figure out the interface. That's the way the description starts. And then it just says basically you can automatically have tutorials on. You can turn it on and off with F3. So I can. It is really hard for me to read that just looking at the screen. But if I use my phone and use that to look at the screen with a little bit of magnification, or again because I'm in windowed mode, I can do this. So that is nice as a low vision user. So I can go start. All right, so we got a dude here. No real sound effects yet. Just got some chill music. But here's the thing with NVDA. I was telling you earlier I was using it to read the dialogue, and that largely works, but it's not 100% accurate. It does say some weird stuff. So I'm going to hit the OCR or recognize command, basically.
Recognizing. Result document.
Okay, so it does a little invisible overlay here.
100.
I'm going to arrow down. So that's my 100. I think that's health.
00/40.
00/40. I forget what else. I know I have I have a shield or armor. I have how many drugs I got, and then I have how much money.
That asshole Preston called ahead.
So there we go. So now we're getting to the dialogue. Okay.
Eyes you cautiously. I'll know you've. Seeing as how I don't know you, we. Eyes you cautiously. I'll know you've. Seeing as how I don't know you, we. Cool. WEAT. Saying something about you needing a loan. Sweaty Mike. Probably heard about my policies on this kind of thing. And. Can do an introductory 2Gs with a 50 a day interest. That. Next.
So some of that is, I'd have to read through it visually. I think some of that is just, the street talk of we're not using proper grammar, we're not using proper English, we're using a bunch of slang, so it comes off as weird and stilted if you're trying to understand a complete sentence. But I mean, that's no fault of the game. That's just the way they talk. Um, but at first I wasn't sure, like, is the screen reader, is it cutting off? Did it not recognize the whole dialog box, or was there an error? So now I can hit escape, and it goes back to the game. And again, because I can't use the keyboard as far as I know, or I can't use a controller, I have to grab the mouse. So even if I were to, at this point, OCR the game, all the controls I've had to use with the mouse. So a blind person would not be able to play this right now. But yeah, so again, if I wanted to like look at this, let me do another, I have to do a recognition on each screen.
Recognizing, result document, 100, 00, WEAT. You pause for a second, not really sure how to proceed.
Okay, so that's fine.
Sure, brother, irritate.
Okay, so sure, brother, irritate.
As long as the terms are. Sounds good to me, Mang.
So it's actually going, again, because it's not native text-to-speech, what a screen reader does is it reads things sequentially, and it's just going literally right now, because I recognize the screen, it's going from top to bottom. And that means you have two buttons side by side next to each other, and then you have one button below that for your dialogue choices. And that's why you started hearing the first option, and then you started hearing another option. So now if I arrow down more.
Reasonable, sir. Skip.
So yeah, so I have to choose the options.
The dope game, remaster.
I don't want to irritate him. Let's go ahead and I'll just say, yeah, sure, whatever. Okay, we'll do another recognize.
Recognizing, 100, 0, WEAT. Oh yeah? Well, how does 2 weeks sound to get that paid back? He pauses and smiles. Good. Or bad, that's how long you have. And trust me, you don't want to miss that deadline. He pats the gun in his waistband. Now piss off. You, Ed.
Right, so that, that read pretty well. So the dialogue stuff, other than like the dialogue choices, I need to be able to, again, arrow between them or tab between them, shift tab. More than likely arrow would be better. Or again, use a D-pad or analog stick on a controller. But this is what, like if the clipboard thing or, and then adding the snap control support, either way, along with some version of getting text-to-speech to work, that's how this would work. Oh, okay, no, I don't want to exit. I thought
no new notification.
I was getting out of OCR mode. All right, so again, we're not very far in. So now we pull up our tablet. Now this is why, again, I can't even use OCR to really do this that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can do it, but it just, so let's do it.
Recognizing, result document. 00/40. Current price.
So current price.
Substance.
So I think because current price was a little higher up on the screen, it read that before it read substance. So it's not even reading substance on the left first, and then your price. Let's arrow down again.
LSD.
Right, so yeah, so you're getting real, these aren't like fake names, there's actually...
Ketamine. Ecstasy. PCP. Ludes. Weed. Meth. Peyote. Cocaine. Opium.
All right, so I should also mention, I forgot to when we were doing a new game, there's a SFW mode, a safe for work mode, and so I don't know what they change it to, but they change it to be not real illicit substance names, shall we say. But let's keep arrowing down.
Carlville. Price. 3,408. 1,797. 84. 1,941. 31. 486. 1,200. 19,600. High. 8. 19.
So what a person would have to do is they would have to literally memorize or write down the order in which all of these items were. And then, because it's not going like, oh, first item, low this price, high this price. It's literally going down the first column, then literally going down the second column. So you're either going to have to do a lot of memorization or guessing or whatever. If you added snap control support via keyboard or controller, I would say you would highlight this whole row, just like when I hover over it like this, so that when I arrow to it, it would actually read me. It would, like, even with the clipboard thing, it could spit out. It would be like, oh, first row, column 1, this, column 2, this, So you would know that it's low, high, whatever. I don't remember what all the columns are. But as I arrow down, you see how it lights up. Again, that's really good contrast, but if you're writing for text-to-speech, that is how we do it. So we have to choose right now, and so since OCR doesn't work, I'm going to use Magnifier, and I'm just going to look and see, okay, that's really low, so we're going to buy some cheap stuff. And so now we got on the right hand interface, once we click something, we're going to buy, because you can either buy or sell. Now you have your quantity here, you've got an amount, and we're going to use you can't actually type in here, I don't think, or can you? Yes, you can. I didn't think you could. Let's buy 5. I didn't think that worked before. Okay. And yeah, we'll transact. And you notice on the bottom, you get to see how close and how close the fuzz is. So you got to be careful. So we did that. There was another one that was cheap. We'll go ahead and buy. I don't know. Oh, we'll click on buy again. Click on. We'll just hit 5. This is going to be a pretty short video, but I just kind of want to show how I would have to play it right now, because again, if I got really close to the screen and squinted, like, I can kind of read the text, but it would be far too low for me to try to read at any sort of productive functional level. So yeah, I use magnification a lot, whether it's games or otherwise, but as far as blind accessibility, you'd have to have a whole new control mechanism for the snap, and you'd have to have text-to-speech. Those are the two things I think that would mainly need to happen. So let's see, is there any other cheapos? Nah, not really. Just those. I'm just going to buy those 2 for now. Because like I said, I'm just going to...
Restore puts a minimized or maximized window back to normal.
So we can just go ahead and I think I'll just click on one of these other things here. I wish they had little hover tooltips like with words, because sometimes I'm not sure what these icons are, especially if you're zoomed out. So now we got more dialogue. Let's go ahead and recognize.
Recognizing. Result 100. OFJ 0/40.
What?
You got my money, bitch. 425. WEAT.
No, I don't, punk.
The dope game. Remaster.
All right, so
notifications, no new notification.
I'm just going to read the choices here visually.
Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Edge pinned.
Nope, not really. All right, so we're just going to do that.
Recognizing 400 OFJ 0/400. Better make that money. WEAT. Sweaty Mike says dismissively and goes back to counting his Ed. The dope game. Remaster. Notifications, no new notifications.
So we click again. Now we go to our map, and again, rather than having to click on things, you could use your arrow keys or your controller, and it would just snap between these little circles, just like a lot of games do. You hit left, you start here, and then you could snap over to here or down to here, just any of these places. And as you would snap to them, it would also read you the labels of what these are. Actually, I know I started out calling this a low vision spotlight, but I'm going to resurrect a series I haven't done in a while, because in this video, the developer is really looking for feedback. And for this type of game, it could, I don't know what the engine you're using, but this type of game, not necessarily the theme, but there are many like iOS games and even some PC games that are heavily text-based that work very well with screen readers. So I'm going to put this under my access unlocked playlist, I think. Because that playlist is, I look at a game or a game genre and I really dive in and give thoughts and ideas on how one would make that type of game or genre accessible to blind players.
System.
So I'm just going to go to this first one here. Okay, now we get another dialogue, so let's recognize.
Recognizing. OFJ0. Phyllis. As you enter the bus, you see the sleeping kid sneak up to the apparently asleep old lady and scrawl the word poop on her forehead with a permanent black marker, then sit down. As you sit down, she opens one eye and winks at you, then continues feigning sleep. Next.
Okay, so apparently all this is randomized because when I started a new game last time, it was totally different dialogue, totally different stuff that happened. So that was amusing. Let's go ahead and recognize
Recognizing.
again.
Oh, Phyllis. You say with a bit of confusion. Next.
Okay.
The dope game.
That was
Copilot
short.
in Windows. Recognizing. OF. Phyllis. Starcam docs. The bus driver bellows over the loudspeaker. Ed. The dope game.
Okay.
Copilot in Windows.
So again, now we just bring up our tablet again because each location, it looks like we can just sort of, you're basically, depending on the location that you got, you might have more heat on you, more or less heat. You may have higher or low prices for certain types of things. You may have certain events where like, oh, this is really in demand. So if I have some stuff in stock, I can make a killing. It's just basically your illicit substance economics simulator at this point. I didn't even remember, what did I even buy last time? I don't even remember what I bought. I think...
The dope closes the window.
Was it this one? So, let's see. On hand. So wait, all of these I got 0? Really? Oh, okay, so you can, like if the fuzz is getting close, you can try to drop them and roll, okay. Okay, so I bought, okay, I bought that. I'm not saying the words just because YouTube and its
Minimize
lovely,
moves the window out of the way.
YouTube and its lovely, like I'm not monetizing or anything, but who knows what kind of strike bullshit you're gonna get. So let's see. I mean, granted, you're looking at it large and so we don't even have the items I own here. I mean, I could buy something low and just keep buying. So I guess I could buy. Let's see. I should look at what I'm actually buying. Okay. And then I'll say buy, and we'll buy. I don't know. A couple of them. You gonna let me? Yeah, sure, why not? And even fiber. The police are pretty low still.
Closes the window.
Let's go ahead and travel.
Closes the window.
Sometimes the map doesn't always come up. I don't know why.
The dope game, remaster.
But really, I mean, it's largely going through these types of interfaces. Like, it is heavily text-based. Like I said, there are plenty of games on PC and especially iOS where, on mobile, Android or iOS even, where, they have a graphical interface. There's a lot of like choose your own adventure style text RPGs. There are card battler games that are, they're not designed exclusively for blind players. They're just mainstream games where the developer has added a layer of accessibility for the screen reader for PC or mobile. And there are, like I said, if you look under my PC accessible game spotlight videos, you'll find some there. iOS accessible game spotlight videos, you'll see a lot of games that are still very graphical. Like they have, they're text-based, but they have a graphical interface, and you're just reading a lot of text through like cards or, fancy like on a parchment or something. But um, like I said, I know I didn't show a ton of gameplay here, but this is a game where I wouldn't really play this on a video because I read rather slowly visually. Um, but I would be able to play this with a combination of the screen reader for the dialogue and then using magnification for the actual um, buying and selling tablet-y stuff. But for totally blind players, this game would be, as far as I can tell, I've tried a few different things, including the adding the clip or turning the clipboard feature on, and that didn't seem to do anything. So at this point, the game is not. I would say it's not blind accessible at this point. But again, I don't know like what engine this is working with and how much work and time it would take to add keyboard and controller support with snap UI movement. Instead of a free cursor, just snapping up, down, left, and right between items, and then having some sort of native text-to-speech. I think those are really the two things. Those are the two key things I think that would be needed for blind accessibility. You do have a section for hotkeys, and it would be also maybe a good idea if text-to-speech was supported to offer some sort of a hotkey for like I don't know, like hitting S for status or something, where it would tell me all the things up in the upper left-hand corner. So it would tell me my money, my health, my whatever. You could also use maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the number row up here above the letters. 1, 2, 3, 4 could also switch you between the different tabs up here in the right hand corner. So if you want to go to your map, if you want to go to your tablet, you want to go to your inventory, you could just hit 1, 2, 3, 4 and instantly switch between those. That would be another, just a really, so you don't have to arrow through and tab through everything or however the controls would be set up. So that's another way that you could use keyboard shortcuts. And then, like I said, maybe having some sort of a little bit of mouse customization options, size, color options, having a little bit of a border around it. Because again, lighter color, beautiful. That works great. But these darker colors, sometimes I do get a little lost, especially if it's in a more of a busy background. Adding the escape key to back out a level, like I can hit escape to quit, but if I was in options and I wanted to, go back, I don't have to click the back button. I can just hit escape. As far as low vision goes, the font is decent. Maybe a little bit of UI scaling, because some of the text like down here is a little bit low, or some of the text itself. If there's an option to have text size, I would not argue with that one bit. But overall, the kind of light gray, dark gray, black, the contrast is overall pretty decent, at least for me. I can see that reasonably well. And I don't know I have no idea what causes games to work in windowed mode, but not in full screen with Windows Magnifier. If I knew of a suggestion how to make that work, I would gladly let you know, but I really don't. But this isn't the first game that has done that. I've seen several games, like a recent one that I played, Balatro, this addictive little poker card game. I have to play that in windowed mode if I want to use Magnifier at all. So, that's a thing. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If the developer does watch this, thank you for being open to feedback, and thank you for being open to additional accessibility. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Max or any other blind, low vision people on social media. I'm pretty active on Twitter/X, and so are a lot of other people still. So there are some totally blind players that you could also connect with, I'm sure. And I hope this video was helpful. Like if you are just, if you are a blind or low vision gamer, and this, again, I told this was going to be a spotlight video, but I think I'm going to have this under access unlocked, because this is more of a really hardcore accessibility deep dive, because that's what I heard the developer was interested in. So a little bit different than your average spotlight video, but hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. Thanks again to Max for the code, the review code, and you can follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.